Hey, everybody. We're going to watch another Lauren video. This one's called College Students Shut Down Event Opposed to Trans Kids. College students shut down event opposed to trans kids. Now, I'll give Lauren this. She got this more accurate than Mythicist Milwaukee did. Those dumb fucks were trying to claim that it was a class and that the teacher was being shut down, and none of that was true. None of that was true at all. Like, they just straight up propagandized the shit out of it. And so, at least Lauren is semi more correct. But I'm fascinated how much she's going to be honest about what was actually going on, and we'll see. Go ahead, Lauren. Oh, I should probably click it.
Hey, Lauren here. Let's talk
Hey.
about insufferable radical college students, because even though it's been a while since we covered them here on this channel, they are still very much a real problem.
Yeah, I mean, Lauren, you got to take a break from covering insufferable TikTok kids to now go back to, the basics and insufferable college students, because these are real important topics these days. It sure is.
So this whole saga starts off with the story of Jeffrey Younger, who you guys might remember is the father that actually lost custody of his 9-year-old son after he disagreed with his wife's decision to let the son begin hormone blockers because the wife believed that his son was actually a trans girl.
Okay, the kid said as much. The mom supported the kid. He was against it. It's a very fascinating way to phrase it, but we'll come back to that in a little bit.
Parents ended up going through this really long custody battle, and ultimately the judge did decide to side with the mother, who, from what I understand, had been convinced that the son was trans since he was 3. And now the story made national and heck even international headlines for obvious reasons. But what I think is one of the more shocking parts about it, not that it's not all just outrageous and unthinkable, is the fact that this didn't happen in California or New York or heck even Canada. No, this happened in Texas.
Yeah, I think you guys are gonna have to start coming to terms with the fact that we're everywhere, and that unfortunately, you're gonna have to start playing ball with how culture is evolving rather than just whine and complain about it all the fucking time. Look, to say that the Jeffrey Younger situation with his wife is a cut and dry situation, it's not. It's not. And also, it's not really anybody else's business. He decided to try and make it everybody else's business, rather than dealing with the courts, dealing with the doctors, dealing with his wife, talking to his child, and instead decided to start very vocally yelling about how his kid was going to be permanently maimed and sterilized, and use that as a political platform to try and run for office. So, there's that. But he didn't just stop there. If that was the situation, then, look, as much as I might have my own positions on this, ultimately that's going to come down to the choices that are made between the parents, and that they can't communicate about this in a way that is calm and rational is unfortunate, but it also is very common in situations like divorce. But to then take this and create a platform to run for office is a whole nother bag of shit. So we're just going to focus on this event.
Yeah, because even though I'm like 99% sure that the majority of people in Texas would not support that judge's decision or the concept of putting a 9-year-old on hormone blockers, it turns out that in Texas, like in most parts of the Western world, left-wing activists have just been very good at getting themselves into positions of power.
You apparently missed the part where Texas is very close to flipping blue. And if not for gerrymandering, it might have happened already. I mean, look, Austin is very blue. Dallas is a lot more progressive than you'd like to think. So is Houston. These are major population centers. The only reason people are like, yeah, Texas is a diehard red state is all because of marketing. That's it. That's the only fucking reason. None of it is actually that true. The reason why a bunch of these fucking right-wing people move over to Texas is only because they believe in some form it still is politically in their direction, which it sort of is. And that is evident by their absolutely terrible choice in fucking governors and usually senators too. But also because they want all of the trappings and comfort of living in big cities, which are predominantly progressive. And then they complain because the cities they moved to in Texas are so progressive. Like, what the fuck?
Before we get to it, though, I do want to say a huge whopping thank you to today's sponsor,
Fuck off. I'll just go ahead and skip this. No free shilling on my channel.
Might not be familiar with. I know I certainly wasn't before this whole college situation kind of exploded, is that now Jeffrey Younger is actually running for a seat in the Texas House. As Courthouse News reports, Jeffrey Younger of Flower Mound filed to run as a Republican in Texas House District 63 on November 23rd. He blames a pediatrician for incorrectly diagnosing his child, who goes by Luna, and claims the doctor planned to put him on chemical castration drugs when Luna turns 9.
Puberty blockers are not chemical castration drugs. It's fucked up. No, I'm sorry. And look, you can have your own opinions about puberty blockers. Mine have shifted a great deal. But ultimately, unless you're fucking trans, it's none of your goddamn business. He as a parent does have a right to have that part of his business. Sure. But at the same time, again, this was handled through the courts. And if Texas is such a right-wing state, you'd think it would go one direction, but it apparently did not. So
this is child abuse, as every conservative knows, Younger says on his campaign website. Even the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services considers medical transitioning of children child abuse. But still, the Texas legislature hasn't acted. Texas is one of the nation's largest providers of sex change surgeries and chemical castration hormone treatments to children. So clearly this is...
It's weird. Texas would be so big on gender reassignment, but it's supposed to be this like big right-wing whatever, dude.
Is a father who's been personally affected by the trans agenda, and I think he's...
Yeah. Oh, no, I forgot about that. DJ Che, you're absolutely right. 4 different psychiatrists, including one handpicked by the father, have all agreed that the daughter should be on this path. And look, again, you can have a different opinion if you want. That's fine. But these are the doctors. These are the fucking doctors. And the doctors are looking at it. And unless you're a doctor, they know more than you and more than me. It doesn't mean that your opinion is invalid, but that is the situation that we're working with.
Absolutely doing the right thing in trying to enact actual change to ensure that this doesn't happen to other parents out there. And so since he is now running...
Yes, one thing we all love over on the conservative rightoid side is limiting choice.
For the state legislature, Younger has, I guess, been doing kind of the publicity rounds, trying to get his name out there. And one such event was actually at the University of North Texas in Denton. The event happened this past week, and let's just say it was a contentious one. Predictably, some of the students, and from the looks of it, a large number of the students at the University of North Texas, do not support Younger's views regarding sex and children transitioning. And so quite a number of them turned up at his talk, not to hear him out and understand his opinion better, but rather to shut down the conversation. And
yep, they sure as fuck did. Absolutely. So, are you gonna show that? Oh yeah, she's gonna show it. Okay, here we go.
Actually, footage of that happening ended up going viral on Twitter, and we have a clip of that here. So public discourse.
Now, hang on. I'm pretty sure that's a MAGA hat too. Now, okay, so this is what's so fucking funny too. All right, Lauren is just going to paint this entirely as this is just like a trans issue, and this is the trans like agenda, and blah 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 blah. But if you look at the fucking slide, for the future of Texas, federalism as state nationalism, conservatism as traditionalism, Republican politics as restoration. Look, there's more going on here than just necessarily like, oh, it's the big trans panic sort of shit, man. Like, Federalism as state nationalism is a bit spooky on its own. It's a bit spooky on its own. But the thing is, it serves the purposes more if they paint this entirely as just a trans thing, because then it's just like, oh, well, the left is so crazy and weird. They don't like his views on transgenderism and blah, blah, blah. Not that there could be more troubling things about him as well.
So public discourse in the West has devolved to a point where now not wanting to lose custody of your child because you're not comfortable giving them hormone blockers at age 9 has become fascism. Disappointing stuff.
See? It has nothing else to do with it. Not him coming to a fucking college at some dinky ass shitty little event and trying to like spread his like ultra nationalist fucking conservative rhetoric and like pushing his conservatism values that obviously also have to deal with trans. And no. It's all because he's a father that's very concerned about his son. Let's see. The judges and jury were in support of removing all rights from the father way earlier on the whole thing, but the mother chose to still allow the father visitation, parentship, and input on everything. As the mother wanted the father to not be overly punished and to still be a father to his kids. Yeah, I mean that tracks in line with like what I had been reading about it back in the day. It's been a while since he popped up, so I would almost I have the sinking suspicion that somebody in the rightoid spaces saw his situation and decided that he would make a good candidate because he'd be useful. I'm pretty sure. And unfortunately, as much as like I applaud those kids for using their free speech to protest something that they find objectionable, absolutely based as fuck. They can always twist it like they're doing right now, with Hollow Brain here to further their narrative. You know, no press is bad press.
Stuff, but frankly, if you've been paying attention to the way that the Overton window has been shifting ever leftward for the past few years, this is not surprising. This
wasn't this about opposing critical race theory? No, this is that's a different one. Yeah. What I want to hear what she said. Hang on. What did you just say?
Fascism. Disappointing stuff, but frankly, if you've been paying attention to the way that the Overton window has been shifting ever leftward for the past few years, this is not surprising. This
the Overton window has been shifting to the right for 3 decades, okay? 3 fucking decades. Maybe 4 decades at this point. I don't include necessarily Reagan because, well, it was just right-leaning. But with the adoption of fucking Clinton, the new Democrats, the new neo-corporatist Democrats, they're just fucking rightoids. They are. They're just right of fucking center. Compared to everywhere else in the goddamn world, our Democrats are not left wing. But that's not useful, so that's why they paint it this way.
This is actually this makes sense as the logical conclusion of where the left would go to next. And something I do want to point out there is that the older person at the front of the classroom who's kind of chanting along and clapping, some people originally thought that that was one of the professors or a teacher of the college taking part in the protest with the students. No, that's actually Mr. Younger himself. And I know at this point we are so used
Okay. Okay. All right.
to seeing footage of college students.
That's really funny. Dude, that's really funny because, again, Mythicist Milwaukee, which is run by a pack of dumb fucks, they reported, well, at least the account is run by one dumb fuck, and there's, like, a few other guys that really were pretty cool dudes, but they let that guy just shit up the place, poop his pants all over the fucking internet. They were saying that he was a teacher, and he was cheering on his students fighting the fascism, and wow. Yeah, guess that narrative falls apart.
Students throwing tantrums, but I mean, really, let's think about it for a second. These aren't 10-year-olds or 13-year-olds or heck, even 16-year-olds. The majority of these students are probably going to be like, what, 19 or 20? So the fact that they still think it's acceptable to have these public temper tantrums over someone expressing views you don't like.
You complain about TikTok children. You complain about TikTok children. You sit there, having been hired by and paid by conservative right-wing propagandist mills. You operate with some of the most dishonest, bad faith motherfuckers on the planet. Your latest Instagram photo is with Candace fucking Owens, okay? And you make a living by fucking going off and ranting and whining about kids on TikTok. And you're going to say that you think it's whining and temper tantrums when college students don't want shitheads coming and throwing propaganda you agree with on campus? You're a fucking hypocrite, dude. God damn. Lauren, what the fuck?
I think it is just a huge indictment of the current state of academia and just education in general. And yes, also parenting. Politics aside, it is just not
It's the schools and the parents' fault that people do things that I don't like. Okay.
acceptable for adults in a civilized world to behave like this, but it's become so normalized on college campuses. And this has happened.
It has been this way for decades and decades and decades and decades and decades and decades and decades. It's the same way all around the fucking world. Everywhere that there is a free society, college students have been known to get a bit antsy in the pantsy and stand up for what they fucking believe in. Whether you agree with it or not, but this is nothing new. It has been going on for well over 70, 80 years now, and it happens everywhere. Not just America, fucking everywhere. Everywhere. There are people that are doing that shit in fucking Russia right now. So it just is what it is.
Happened so quickly too. I mean, I graduated from college how many years ago? 6, 7 years ago. And I could not imagine back when I was in school, students doing something like this. I mean, I was in Young Republicans when I was in college. We had events. Nothing like this ever happened. But the concepts of civility and dialectic have gone out the window so quickly that now it's like anytime a right-wing speaker does show up on campus and gets any type of publicity, you can almost guarantee that this is going to happen. And it's
if they're going to say a bunch of shitty stuff, yeah. Unfortunately, the situation that we're in right now is that, like, right now, the main standard and the basis, like, the bottom line for right-wingers is so fucking dog shit that, unfortunately, you don't usually get somebody coming into onto campuses who's right-wing and is like, okay, well, so this is my arguments for why I think we need to be fiscally conservative. This is why I feel like it would be good to promote, healthy family homes. This is why I think this or that or whatever. That I am totally down with. Like, go ahead. And I don't think many people would actually protest that. They can have their ideas heard. But when they come in with a bunch of inflammatory dog shit, sure, they should be able to be heard. But so should anybody else. It's not that this is not a free speech issue that Lauren wants us to think it is. This is I want them to be able to talk, and I don't want anybody to use their free speech to interrupt. It's as simple as that. Like, if you believe in free speech, you have to believe in the ability for people, if they have the speech, to use their speech to counter your speech. Deal with it, snowflake.
It's my understanding that these protesters were just so disruptive that eventually they did need to end the event early because, I mean, clearly you can't really hear the person talking when there's all this chanting going on. But we do actually have another video clip of the talk where Younger and the protesters go back and forth on the issue of pronouns.
She, Hey, police, I just got spit on.
Okay. I don't really quite understand necessarily the context of this. Let's try and hear the rest of this, and then we'll have a conversation about it real quick.
I got it, man. Sorry, man. Man. You're a woman. Listen, you actually believe that if someone disagrees with something, you can stand up and spit on them. That's how miseducated you are. Yeah.
Okay, I would agree with him. Don't spit on people. Don't spit on people. But let's finish this. How long is this? It goes for a while. Only for like another 15, 20 minutes, 15, 20 seconds or so.
All right, guys.
Yeah, it's kind of quiet.
I want to thank you for showing the world what leftist politics really is. I'm very grateful to you. Thank you.
Okay. Here's the problem. He's intentionally misgendering somebody. Now, when it comes to things like pronouns, it's very, very simple. Very, very simple. If you misgender somebody and they correct you nicely, then then further just like continue to misgender them on purpose, you're just being a dickhead. If you misgender somebody and they correct you not politely, but rather mean and vicious, I'm not saying that necessarily you just have to take it, because like the whole thing is that when you were talking with somebody, you're engaging in a type of dialogue with somebody on a basis of a level of respect, and that can be from all the way down to like complete derision to a massive amount of respect. And so I can understand if somebody wants to, if they feel like they're being insulted, insult back. Sure, I can understand that. I can understand somebody wanting to do that. I don't think people should do that. I think you should try and make an effort, Like if you're like, oh shit, I said the wrong pronouns, my bad. And then try to correct it, because you will earn charity from doing that. And if somebody continues to be abusive to you, then fuck them. Obviously, everybody was primed to be in a not productive vibe when this event was going to be going on. So if he gets a little snippy with somebody because in this whole like pronouns and misgendering sort of thing, I can understand to a certain extent him being just like, whatever, fuck you. But to then repeatedly and continually try and do it, he's just shit starting. He's just shit starting, and he's just being intentionally cruel. And it's not going to win him any fucking favors. It's just going to continue to let everything devolve. And at that point, the only thing that could be beneficial to him is to try and utilize these students in a way of what Lauren is doing here. Look at how crazy the left is. Or if what would really help him is if one of them fucking attacked him, and then he can make national headlines. Crazy leftist college kids attack, blah, 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 That's just how it is. That's how it would get used. I don't really have necessarily a good answer for what to do if you're put in a situation like this. I guess don't even try and really talk about it with them. Just be loud. I think they're doing the right thing. Be loud, but don't try and rationalize what they do, because all you're gonna do is just give him more sound bites, and he's gonna use it in the worst possible way, just like what Lauren is doing here. And it sucks, and it's unfortunate. And I wish I had a better strategy for you. If anybody else comes up with a better one, please tell me, because yeah, there's really nothing to talk about. The dude is showing up to basically try and propagandize. I would suspect that he knew it was going to go the way it went, but this way he gets some attention to his name.
Sometimes hear from these leftist trans activists that using proper pronouns is really important because it's a sign of respect, but it's like, what respect are these children showing?
Oh, yeah. This is not a class. This is an event. They came to protest. They totally came to protest. Yeah. And it is one of those things. Yeah, and Chris Hansen is right. Like if you... Sure, we have this idea, right? This idea that we can counter bad ideas with good ideas. And on the surface level, that sounds great. But there are unintended consequences of doing so. If you don't counter where you see something that you think is egregious and shitty, then that can be interpreted like as a tacit acceptance of it, So I don't know.
to literally anybody. Absolutely none. So in my opinion, no. Younger should be under no obligation whatsoever to indulge their delusions. You're interrupting this man, you are disturbing this event, you are
It's their college. He is not a student there. He is not a teacher there. He's coming to their turf and saying his dog shit, and they disagree.
spitting on him, you are being hostile
Yeah, don't spit on people. That's fucked up. Don't spit on people.
to him, but you still expect him to hold your hand and pretend that your identity is valid because why? Because your feelings matter when his clearly don't matter to you.
Do left-wing speakers deliberately visit and address right-wing groups? There isn't really the same kind of phenomenon on the opposite side. Not really. Not really. And it's just one of those things. I mean, and obviously, like most college campuses are very left-leaning. Very, very, very left-leaning.
To you. It's just such a gross double standard. And again, these are legal adults that we are watching behave this way. They're acting like 5-year-olds. I mean, not even 5-year-olds. I've seen 5-year-olds who were so much better behaved, who would never think of spitting on somebody. And as
What the fuck is that argument? What the fuck? I love the fucking like behavior policing from someone who mocks children on TikTok. You know? Okay.
bad and rowdy as things were in the actual event room itself, it turns out that things were even worse outside. We have some footage here of protesters who did not make it into the actual event room and who just kind of stayed outside. And this footage was collected by another YouTuber, Alex Stein, who I just want to clarify is not actually affiliated with the group that invited Mr. Younger onto campus. I believe the Young Conservatives of Texas is the group that invited him, and I just wanted to put that information out there because I'm not sure what other type of content Mr. Stein.
You want to know what Lauren thinks is okay to protest? Oh, that's easy. Trucker convoys. Trucker convoys are totally fine to protest. I won't say that she was a supporter of January 6th necessarily, but I don't think that she disliked it either. I don't know. I didn't pay that much attention back then.
Has done. And so just, I mean, no offense to him, but I don't want to turn this into a whole PewDiePie moment. So yeah, here's his footage.
Wait, what? Hang on. What did you just say? Does he drop the N-bomb?
Not sure what other type of content Mr. Stein has done. And so just, I mean, no offense to him, but I don't want to turn this into a whole PewDiePie moment. So yeah, here's his footage.
It's a paper on the ground, officer. I understand, but there is the free speech portion of it with it. So, you guys are all losers! Get louder, motherfucker! Everybody here is a loser! And an abuser! Loser! You guys want to cut children's fantasies off!
Gross. Conspiracy Castle with what is his name? Rick Stain? Rick Stain? Is his name Rick Stain? I think it's Rick Stein. I'm curious. I gotta find this dude now. Rick Stein. Let's see. Rick Stein. I'm trying to find it. Conspiracy Castle. Conspiracy Castle Rick Stein. Oh, he's on BitChute. Okay. Fascinating. He looks like such a wanker. All right, anyway, we'll look at this later. But yeah, let's do this.
That guy's got spunk, but as funny as I personally find that little confrontation between him and
Why is that funny? Why is that funny? And how does that guy have spunk? He's a prick. He's just being a dickhead. I don't understand, man. I don't understand. Like, that's good. That's good that he's being fucking vicious and nasty to people who just disagree with him. Yay, yay. But it's different on the other side. Like, that's so dumb.
those protesters, it looks like things may have very well gotten potentially violent on campus that night. You see, it wasn't just Mr. Younger who was getting the ire of the protesters. One of the event organizers, a student named Kelly Neidert, she was also subjected to a lot of abuse and yes, even threats. As she posted on her personal social media account, a week after getting death threats and getting 17,000 signatures on a petition to expel me, I had an event where I had to be rushed out of the building for my safety. Antifa cut me off and I was forced to hide in a janitor closet with the lights off while Antifa searched for me. And then
I call bullshit. Bullshit. I call fucking bullshit. Every single goddamn time you end up with somebody talking about this kind of shit and like, oh, I was hiding from Antifa. I've never seen proof of it actually fucking happening.
Off while Antifa searched for me. And then we also have footage of Kelly trying to make her way through the crowd with a police escort. Meanwhile, her fellow students are still hurling abuse at her.
You know what I think is really fascinating about this? Yeah. Uh-oh, Antifa. Ooh. You know what I always think is really, really funny and fascinating about this sort of thing? People like Lauren Chen usually say things like, well, that guy wouldn't have been killed by the cops if he had just obeyed orders, whether that's fucking true or not. Well, those people, they shouldn't have been doing what they were doing, going where they knew it would be bad, blah, 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 blah. But it never extends to rightoids that have these shitty, terrible fucking opinions. You know how you could have avoided this whole thing? Don't take a guy that's going to have demonstrably fucked up, obviously aggressive and abrasive opinions on things like nationalism and transgender rights at a fucking college campus. Don't go there. Have him go literally anywhere else. Like, literally anywhere else. But then you don't get this juicy footage so she can make this vapid, hollow, dumb fuck argument video. This is very boring. All right, let's get a little bit more from Lauren and yeah. That's the thumbnail. That's the thumbnail, guys, for sure. Yeah, let's get a little bit more from Lauren and then let's wrap this up.
A very strong negative response from the college's left-wing students. And when talking to the post-millennial specifically about how this event ended up getting so much attention, Kelly pointed
of course, you talked to the post-millennial.
to the promotional flyers that she was printing and posting leading up to Mr. Younger's talk. As shown on the YCT-UNT social media account, the posters say to criminalize child transitions. And so I don't think it's a stretch to say that all of those college students who were upset and freaking out and calling Mr. Younger a fascist and even resorting to things like threats and trying to get Kelly expelled, they were doing so because these two had the audacity to say, we shouldn't be transitioning children. I mean, don't get me wrong. Anytime.
Yeah, I was just thinking that poster, that flyer, was a very, very measured and not at all inflammatory way to address the issue on a college campus. Yeah, I was just thinking that. Of course. Yeah. What the fuck? Oh my god. Oh no, she's about to talk about Ben Shapiro and Donald Trump. All right, we got to keep watching. Hang on.
The audacity to say we shouldn't be transitioning children. I mean, don't get me wrong. Anytime these purple-haired, pronoun-wearing weirdos show up, like odds are 99% they're going to be standing for some sort of crazy position, whether that's calling Ben Shapiro an anti-Semite or Trump literally Hitler. It's not going to be a well thought out position. But the idea that in these left-wing progressive circles now children transitioning has become such a hill for them to die on, it's scary. It's shocking. And actually, we did another story relevant to this.
Yeah. No shilling your other bullshit. Look, the thing is, it's not a hill that anybody is dying on. It's not something that is a huge, huge fucking issue in leftist political circles and shit like that. It isn't. It really isn't. It is such a very, very small, but important issue. It does not affect a shit ton of people. It's very rare. but it is something that needs to be talked about because it does help to further define how we're going to treat and deal with people. And I honestly think I would much rather be going with established medical and psychological, what are they called? Specialists, than dumbfuck hollowhead Lauren Chen and this piece of shit Jeff Younger. Like, no, I'm sorry. I can't. I can't get behind that sort of thing. And this idea that this is somehow shutting down freedom of speech is bullshit, of course. It's rules for thee and rules for thee, but not for me kind of garbage. It's exhausting, it's tiring, and nobody gets to throw fucking stones if they make their living teasing trans kids for just being goofy and cringe, okay? Because nobody's more goofy and cringe than you, Lauren. You're incredibly, incredibly fucking cringe. A grown-ass woman picking on fucking children and then trying to get some people to, like, take you as a serious political commentator. You're not. You're a fucking clown.